We all use intuition in our daily lives, and that seems to work pretty fine in most cases. But what if I tell you that sometimes it is tricking our brain into making wrong judgments? Institutions that are aware of it are making false claims and playing into the fallacy. You might not be aware of how this fallacy reflects in the way we think. Learning about this fallacy will also help in understanding any statistics that are given to you so that you're not fooled by any data. So what am I talking about? There is a psychological bias where people ignore general information and focuses on a very specific information that seems relevant to them, leading them to make incorrect probability judgments. This is called Bayes rate fallacy. Today we are going to look into few examples demonstrating this Bayes rate fallacy and solve them along the way to get a better understanding of the fallacy. One of the studies represented by Daniel Kahneman and Amor Tversky was a personality test done by psychologists for two Bayes rate groups of 30 engineers and 70 lawyers in one Bayes rate group, while having 70 engineers and 30 lawyers in another Bayes rate group. Based on the description given to them, they had to judge if the person is a lawyer or an engineer. This was the description. Jack is a 45-year-old man. He is married and has 4 children. He is generally conservative, careful, and ambitious. He shows no interest in politics and social issues and spends most of his free time on his many hobbies, which include home carpentry, sailing, and mathematical puzzles. The probability that Jack is one of the 30 engineers in the sample of 100 is dash. What they found was that the average of the mean estimates for each participant was only slightly higher for the higher Bayes rate group than for the lower Bayes rate group. Whereas if Bayes rates were taken into consideration, the higher Bayes rate group should have much higher percentage because they had more engineers than the other group. The conclusion was that both groups completely ignored the Bayes rates. Let's start with an example to get a better understanding. Imagine there is a shiny new device that can detect criminals with 99% accuracy and a false positive rate of 5%. What is the likelihood that the random person who tested positive is actually a criminal? Before that, we need to understand a few very basic things. Accuracy. If it says accuracy of catching criminals is 99%, that means out of 100 people, it will catch 99 of criminals in the test. If 100 people were criminals, it will catch 99 of them. Nowhere does it say what happens when it is tested against innocent people. Here comes the false positive rate. If it says the false positive rate is 5%, that means that you will catch 5% of innocent people and consider them as criminal. Even though the device has an accuracy of 99% of catching criminals, that would only work when they already catch a criminal and put them to the test, not the other way around. Now, getting back to the problem, let's just try to find the accuracy at which it will catch the criminal if put to test blindly. Suppose a city has 100,000 people and 100 of them are criminals. Now we don't know which one of them were actually criminals, so we put everybody through the test, right? Now since the accuracy is 99%, we are definitely going to catch 99 people as criminals, the correct criminals from 100,000 people. So now we have 99,900 innocent people in the city, and the false positive rate is 5% of the innocent people, which is 4,995 innocent people were also caught in this device as criminals. Meaning if you want to show the actual accuracy of the device, it will be total number of criminals caught divided by total people caught through this device, which is 99 by 4995 plus 99, which is approximately 2%. Meaning from all the people it caught, 2% of them were actually criminals. So most of them it caught were innocent people. So you see, even if the device had 99% accuracy of catching criminals, it is completely useless because it will mostly catch innocent people. Let's take another example to check your understanding from the previous example. In the next question, I will ask you if you can find the Bayes rate fallacy answer. There are two cab companies in fictional city named after the color of their taxis, the green company and the blue company. Of all the cabs in the city, 85% are blue and 15% are green. Then the researchers told participants about a hypothetical scenario where a witness identifies a cab involved in a hit and run as green. To access their reliability, the court tests the witness' ability to discriminate between blue and green cabs. The results reveal that the witness can accurately distinguish the color 80% of the time and confuses them 20% of the time. After hearing the scenario, participants predicted the likelihood that the cab involved in the hit and run was actually green. Now, what do you think is the answer and what is the Bayes rate? Pause the video here to think. Now, if you answered 80%, you have fallen for the Bayes rate fallacy. The Bayes rate here is the percentage of cabs split in the city, which is completely ignored in our answer. The fact that the witness can accurately identify 80% of the time became more relevant than the fact the split between the cabs percentage, right? Now, let us see how to find out the likelihood of the cab being actually green, right? Like if you consider there are 100 cabs, then 85 of them would be blue and 15 of them would be green. The witness is correct 80% of the time and wrong for 20% of the time. There are two scenarios. What is the likelihood the cab was green green and the witness was correct, what is the likelihood the cab was blue and the witness was incorrect? Because witness chose green in both the scenarios, right? So for the first scenario, we have 15 cabs in the city and witness is correct 80% of the time. So 15 multiplied by 0.8, it would be 12. So for 12 times, witness would be correct because they chose green and the cab was actually green. In the rest of the scenario, for 20% of the time, the witness was wrong. So in that case, the cab was actually blue, but the witness considered it as green. For that scenario, it would be 85 cabs, which were blue cabs, multiplied by the error rate 0.2%, it would be 17 times. Now the likelihood of the cab being actually green is actual green cabs, which is called green, divided by total number of the times witness considered it as green, which is like the times witness was wrong and the times witness were correct. So if you find the calculation, it is 41.4%, which is much different from our initial answer, which was 80%, right? Now you might be wondering, why do we choose to ignore base rates in our calculation? Research done by psychologist Maya Bar-Hillel in 1979 on 1979 tested on 1500 university student candidates for the entrance exam, and after analyzing about 3000 responses, they found that on average most candidates chose to ignore the base rate information and instead chose the more relevant information to give the answer. We found out that when two information are provided, we fall for base rate information because our brain automatically ranks information based on relevance, and higher relevant information completely dominates the lower relevant information. We ignore base rates because we actively judge them to be irrelevant to the specific case at hand, like we seen in the cab example, right? She also found that, for example, in case of the cab problem, when we say 85% of the cab in city are blue and 15% are green, this feels like random information and has no causal power over accidents. When it is worded differently, like 85% of the cab accidents in the city involve blue cabs and 15% involve green cabs, now this feels relevant to the cause of accident, and in this scenario we take these base rates into consideration of our decision. The next point would be, like, when we're trying to judge a specific target, we look for the smallest, most exclusive reference group that the target belongs to. Like in the cab problem, 85% blue and 15% green cab is the outer population, right? And the fact that the witness were made accurate judgment 80% of the time and were incorrect judgment 20% of the time, that seems like a subpopulation. This is like the subpopulation. Now I can take few more examples, but this video is getting too long and nobody's going to watch till here. So comment down below if you really want me to demonstrate more examples, or maybe I will make it myself. I don't know, because if I find it interesting, because at this point I'm just making these videos for myself only, out of interest. So next time they show you another statistics to prove a point, see that if they're actually hiding the base rates to embellish the results, or are you ignoring the base rates subconsciously in your calculations. And do not trust your intuition in these scenarios because it is always counterintuitive. Thanks for watching and subscribe.